everyone, and welcome to another episode of Cinnamon Stitches. I am your yarn host, Jennifer. Today is PYOW, which stands for Premier Yarn of the Week. Now, Premier Yarn, and it's the middle of the week. So, alright. Today we are going to make, if you have been around for any number of time, you will have seen that I made a beautiful star-shaped Jacob's Ladder tree skirt. And I have had requests from some very special members of the YouTube here that has requested me to show you how to make this tree skirt. This is going to be a partial tutorial. I am not making another full tree skirt. I am going to show you the pattern repeat, and you can make it as big as you want or as small as you want depending on the size of your tree. I am going to try to give you tips on how to make it bigger when you start out, because not all tree bases are the same size. Depends on whether you have a artificial plastic tree or if you have like a fresh cut tree. You're going to want to make the base size bigger, and to make that easier, I just did, it's going to kind of be a multiple of 25. I started with, you can start with 25 if you have a really skinny or a small tree. I'm going to be starting with a chain of 50, but let's talk about the yarn first. The yarn that I'm using today is Premier Anti-Pilling Everyday Medley yarn. This yarn is ridiculously soft. It's got a beautiful like marbling to it. I fell in love with this yarn when it first came out because it is so soft. All of the anti-pilling everyday yarns from Premier is incredibly soft. You cannot go wrong if you don't like the marbling, or if you want to switch this out for any of their anti-pilling line, you absolutely feel free to do this. This is available exclusively from Premier Yarns. So like I said, it is really soft, which right now is vital because I'm dealing with some issues with my hands. I'm not going to go into that in this episode though, but please be kind if you see red blotches all over my hands. Now, these three colors that I have are the three colors that I possess. I also have gray, but I brought these out because these I thought were the most wintry or Christmassy. Now, they also have another shade of red that is less marbled. So this is on their website. This is the color Current. And as you can see, it is more red, whereas this has flecks of beautiful gray in it. Is that not gorgeous? And then they have this color, which I think is a beautiful tree color. This is the color Forest, and it's beautiful marbled greens. And I think that those two go very beautifully together if you wanted a traditional red and green. They also have, let's see if I can show you guys without getting a horrible glare. They have pearl gray, which is a really light gray that I think would go really good with that. I have another one of the gray. There's grayish, which is like gray beige. This is gray marble, which I think is the one that I have. Then they have a darker gray, which is ash. All of those would go really good with the red and the green, if you ask me. Or if you want to, you can just mix it with the Everyday Anti-Pilling white, if that's what you choose, or just do red and green. Today, I'm just going to do the blue, and the blue is the color Blue Note, which looks like this on their website. Not even close. This is more of a slate blue mixed with a true blue, and it's really beautiful. But I thought that this would be a very I just thought this would be a beautiful tree skirt. And I also have about 6 balls in this color, so I mean that works beneficially for me. This retails for $4.99 currently. I don't know how many it's going to take to make the size tree skirt that you are going to need. I'm going to say several, depending on the size of your tree. I am just trying to center pull. I'm using a 5.5 millimeter hook. This is an Omi hook. These are available on Amazon. If I can remember, I will link it below. These are my favorite hooks to use because they are ergonomic and they have a nice pointy head and they are inline. So they are my favorite. All right. I got my center pulled out. I'm just debarfing because it's got a little bit of tingly. Like I said, we're going to start with a chain of 50 plus 3. The 3 is going to be the turning chain, is going to count as one of the first double crochets in the row, if I can get this untangled. So you can go ahead and start chaining 50 now. If you prefer, you can do a foundationless single crochet. We're just chaining today. Got a weird knot on the end of that, so you know what, we're just gonna ignore it because my scissors are in the other room. It's fine. I'm gonna start with a slip knot. Okay, and then I am going, that was not even a slip knot. Don't mind me. I'm a little bit off my game today, guys. So just bear with me. Slip knot. And then put the tail on the bottom. Alright, we're going to chain 50. 1, 2, buckle eye shoe, 3, 4, 5, 6. $49.50. Pinch this one. 1, 2, 3. We're going to actually, yeah. That's where I got my. We're gonna chain extra 2, not 3. That's where I messed up. 1, 2, 3. Okay. We're gonna go in the 1, 2, 3, 4th chain from the hook and put a double crochet. So we need 52, not 53. Let me double 52. Alright, so now that counts as 2 double crochet. We need to do 2 more double crochets. So we should have the beginning of this row with 4 double crochets, right? Pause. Just making sure I'm reading my notes right. So we should have the first chain 3, and then 1, 2, 3 more double crochets, and then in the next stitch we are going to put 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets, all in that same stitch. 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets, all in that stitch. And then in the next 8 double crochets we are going to put, or the next 8 chains, we're going to put a single or a double crochet in each one of those. Like I said, I'm going to apologize ahead of time. My brain is trying to work today. I need 8 double crochets across the next 8 chains. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is going to be a 5-point star if I didn't say that already. So each one of these increases is going to be a point on our star. So that's 8 double crochets across the next 8 chains. Now we're going to put an increase, which is 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet in the same stitch. 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet. This is going to be the repeat across the row. Now across the next 8 chains, we are going to put double crochets in each one of those 8 chains. The total of 8 double crochets. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Apparently my hook wants to be extra squeaky today. Probably has something to do with the medicine that is on my hands. So I apologize if that's irritating anybody. Right, so we got our peak, 8 double crochets following it, and then we're going to put another peak, which is 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet. This is just our setup row. Now we're going to go and do 8 more double crochets across the next 8 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Time for another peek. So in the next stitch we're going to put an increase of 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets, and then we're going to put 8 double crochets, there's 8. I'm going to put our last increase of this row. I'm going to give you some tips on how to adjust the center for different size tree skirts at the end of this row. So be sure to take notes. And then we should have 8 double crochets left in this row. If it's off by 1 or whatever, it's not a big deal. Because my last time I was off by 1 because I did a practice row. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I was off once again. So I'm just gonna double loop that. See, I had an extra chain here, and because I don't feel like fixing it, I'm just gonna double loop it over my thing. And when we weave in the ends later, you're not even gonna know that's there. It's gonna be fine. I fudged it. Okay, this is what it's gonna look like. Kind of like a pentagon shape. Okay. So we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 peaks. This is gonna be our star shaped. Now, if you have, see for me, I have a fake tree right now. This fits perfectly over my center bar, and it covers everything that needs to be covered. If you have an even smaller one than this, you can start with a chain of 25 for like a really small tree. If you have a bigger tree than this, just increase it by 25, your starting chain. So my starting chain here was 50 plus the 2 for the turning chain. Add 25, so try 75, a chain of 75 before you even put this row in. Do a chain of 75, see how that fits around your base of your tree. Just keep adding 25 until it fits around the base of your tree where you want. Because my real tree base, because we've had real trees for years and years, we switched to plastic trees very recently because of the market and the prices. So if you have a real tree base, mine was like massively large. Just keep adding 25s till it fits around where you want it to lay on your base. My tree skirt, or my tree base for my real tree, had a really large hole and then this really chunky base underneath it. And so I had to make sure that it covered part of the base, but not the part where the screws that screw into the tree trunk. It was a whole thing. Okay. If by chance you make this part too big, and you don't like it when you're all done, you can come through and just do decreases around here. So like every couple stitches, do 2 double crochets together, 2 double crochets together until you build it smaller, until it fits the way you want. That way you can adjust this. You're not stuck with it when it's done. You can fix it however you want. All right, now I'm gonna do, you can chain 3 for the next row, but I like to do a chain 1 and turn and then put my double crochet in the same stitch. I just find it makes my edges look neater. So I'm gonna chain 1, turn, double crochet. we're going to double crochet in how many stitches? So we have 8, so we're going to do 4 double crochet. This chain 1 double crochet is 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, and a 3rd, and then a 4th. And this is where we're going to build the Jacob's ladder. You're going to chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. You're going to skip the next 2 double crochets. So if you pull it apart like this, see how this looks like a backwards P? You skip that hole and double crochet into the 3rd one. Okay, this is going to create the Jacob's ladder effect that we want. It's also going to bring the peaks, the valleys in between the peaks of the star in to make it look more like a star and less like a pentagon. And I know that that looks like a big opening and it's going to look funky. I promise it will work. So now we have 3 more double crochets after this one. So we're going to have 4 double crochets on either side of the Jacob's ladder going up to the peak. Okay. So there's 4 double crochets, chain 6, skip 2, 4 double crochets, and now we're in the peak. So in the peak we need to put another increase. So we need 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet. Every row is going to be like this, except it's going to be a different number of stitches. Your number of stitches is obviously going to increase. It's kind of like you're going in the round, so you're adding stitches in. I got another knot in the middle of my ball. I'm trying to pull out enough yarn so I don't have to fight it. See, I got some tangling happen. Because it's tangling this yarn that gets tucked in from that side. That's wonderful. Tangle on both ends. I'm going to pause and fix my yarn. Alright, I think I fixed enough of it. Alright, so now, once again, we are going to divide these stitches in half, and we're going to make sure that in the middle of all of these stitches, you are going to put a Jacob's ladder. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12, take away the 2 we're going to skip, would be 10. So we need to do 5 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now the reason I'm telling you how to divide that in half and put the Jacob's ladder, because if you go higher or lower with your starting count, your peaks are going to be in different places. So if you start with a chain of like 75 or 100, depending on how big your tree is, just take these stitches from peak to peak, divide them in half, take away the 2 center, and do a chain 2, no, chain 6, 3, 4, 5, 6, skip 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we're back to the peak. So on either side, not including these 2 chains over here, because this is our increase, from the peak of the previous row to the peak of the previous row, we had 12 stitches. So we divided that by half and we got 6. We took away the 2 in the center. We had 5 on either side. Okay. I know this sounds confusing, but I'm trying to teach you how to manually adjust this. Now we're at the peak. We're going to do an increase of 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet. I'm trying to teach you so that you can change up the design any way you want, or you can make it exactly to my specifications if you have like a fake tree. But I want you to be able to make this no matter what kind of tree you have. Alright, so now this should be the same. We should still have 12 double crochet. So we're going to put 5 double crochet across the next 5 stitches after we did the increase. 1, 2, 3, 4, tangle, 5, chain 2, no, chain 6, 3, 4, 5, 6, skip 2, 1, 2, double crochet in the next 5 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We're back to the peak, so we're going to do a peak increase, 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet. Now we're back to that row again. Apparently I didn't untangle this enough. See, I leave all these things in because I've gotten so many comments of people complimenting me for that, because they want to know that if they're having troubles, it's not just them that's having trouble. Oh, trust me, it's not just you. So we should have 12 here again if we started with the chain of 50. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 double crochet, chain 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, skip 2, 5 double crochet, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And don't worry, the rest of these rows is going to be so intuitive, you're not going to have to count anything. If you get this first couple setup rows right, you're not going to have to count anything ever again. We're at the peak. We're doing a peak increase of 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet. Now we're at another section where we have the 12 stitches. So we're going to put 5 double crochet across the next 5 chain, or next 5 double crochets. 2, 3, 4, 5, chain 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, skip 2, 5 double crochets, 2, 3, there we go. 4, 5, we're at the peak. So I'm going to put 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochets. Now we just have these few little stitches here, so we're just going to double crochet in each one. One, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we're going to chain 1 and turn. This is what mine looks like. Okay, so we got kind of a start happening. Now, the next row is going to be a repeat row. You're going to repeat it all the way until you're done, till it's the size that you want it to be. I know it looks funky now. These are going to be the Jacob's ladder, these chain 6s. We are going to, when the time comes, we're going to twist it, flip it over, and we're going to ladder them together. So that will cause a peak here. Okay, so even though it's not laying quite right now, when it comes time to Jacob ladder it, it will create the proper star. Okay, this next row is going to be the row that you repeat until it's the size that you want. You can change colors as many times as you want. Like if you want this to be blue and gray or blue and white, you can do that. Do a couple rows of blue, couple rows of white, or do a thicker row of one color and then like a real thin row of the secondary color. Change it up, make it your own. Mine right now, I'm just doing blue. And like I said, we're just doing this for the purpose of a tutorial. So I'm not creating a whole nother tree skirt. I'm going to show you how to make a small version of this, and I'm going to let you make your own. Right, so I chained one, I'm turning my work over. Okay, we're going to double crochet. This is your repeat row. You're going to do this row over and over again. You're not going to have to count anything. Just double crochet up the first side. In every stitch, put a double crochet. Every stitch. Double crochet until you get to the peak. This is your repeat. We're not counting anymore. This is where it gets easy, okay? Now, we got to the peak. We're going to put a peak increase. You already know how to do that. It's 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet all in the peak. Chain 2, 2 double crochet all in the peak. Okay, now we are going to crochet a double crochet in every stitch, but do not do this last double crochet. Okay, so we're skipping this every row. Skip this one, and we're going to skip this one. Okay, so double crochet in every stitch until the stitch before the chain 6 space. Pull out some more for my center. Okay, see how there's 2 stitches left here? There's a stitch here and a stitch here. I'm going to put a double crochet here. We're going to skip this post and this stitch all together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, chain 6, skip this post, all these chains, and this first post. See how the hole is on this side of the post? Go into that next hole and put a double crochet. Okay, so that's what that should look like. See how we skipped this post and this chain? We're going to do this every single row. Then double crochet until you get up to the peak. Make sure you get this one. That's a post. There's a hole on the top of it. Double crochet in it. Now, we're at the peak. We need a peak increase. You know how to do that. 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet. Easy peasy. Chain 2, 2 double crochet. Now, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to double crochet in these stitches and skip that post right there that attaches to the chain 6. See, we're skipping this post, chain 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Skip all those chains and skip this post. Go to this one and double crochet. We got to the peak. We need to put a peak increase. 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet. Do the same thing down this side. Double crochet down the hill. Skip the last post there, chain 6. Skip the chain 6 and the next post. Double crochet here. Double crochet up this peak. Now if you're worried that you're going to mess this up and that your peaks are going to be uneven, just every couple of rows, just count how many double crochets are between the peaks and the valleys. And if you're off by 1 or 2, just fudge it in the next row. Nobody's ever going to know. Alright, we're at the peak. So we're going to put a peak increase. We're going to peak our interest. Or peak our increase. We're going to put 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet. Now we're going back down. Double crochet up until the post right before the last post. You guys got this. This is so easy. You just keep doing this. Back and forth. Over and over again. Same repeat. Until it's about the size that you want. So we got that last peak we're skipping. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Skip the chain 6. Skip that peak. Or that stitch and go to the next one. And double crochet. When we get done with this row, I'm going to start to show you the next row so that I can prove to you that it is exactly the same as this row. And then I'm going to have you, I'm at the peak, so I'm putting a peak increase. And then I'm going to have you work on your own, and I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so that I can come back and show you how to connect the Jacob's ladder and how to do the final row, which is really easy. I'm going back down, so I'm just putting double crochets. I don't know if you guys can hear my daughter's playing Dreamlight Valley. So we got to the last chain 6 space. We're going to skip here, the last post, the chain 6, and the next post. We're going to chain 6 here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Skip that post, and then in the next 3 stitches we're going to put double crochet. Chain 1, turn our work. This is what it's looking like so far. Kind of starish. Like I said, these are going to tie in together, so it will pull it down like that. So even if it doesn't look exactly right now, it will. It'll be just fine. Alright, so now we're working back up the hill. So we chained 1 just to turn. We're going to put a double crochet in that very first stitch that we chained out of. Put another double crochet. Now because there's a post here and a chain 6, we're going to skip that. So we're going to chain 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Skip the very first or the very last post. So skip the post, skip the chain 6, skip this post, go into this stitch and double crochet up the hill. We're in the peak. We're going to put a peak increase. You guys already got this. I already know you do. You done stopped listening to me. Like I said, this pattern, the first couple rows, especially because I'm giving you guys different measurements to make it your own size, that's going to be where you have to do a little bit of math and you have to like just be conscientious of what you're doing. But once you get to the repeat, it's so stinking easy. You just repeat yourself over and over again. And like I said, you can switch this yarn up. You can make it any color you want. You can make as many rows of as many colors as you want. Shoot, you can make this rainbow if you wanted. We're up to the chain 6, so we're going to skip this post, this chain 6, and this post. Chain 6. I think that was 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. Skip that post, double crochet. I'm going to attempt to do maybe 10 rows of this, just so that I give you a sample of what to do, so I can show you how to do this. Like I said, make it as big or as little as you want, depending on the size of your tree. For my preference, the way I did my big one was I kept crocheting rows until I found that it was the peaks were big enough to reach the tips of the branches of my tree. Okay, so I laid it underneath the tree when it was done, and the tips here, the points of the star, were about equal to where the branches of the tree lay. That is entirely up to you. You can make it bigger, you can make it smaller. That is my rule of thumb for my personal preference for my tree. And you can make it as big or as little as you want. I'm going to work up several more rows of this. I am going to come back, and if you get confused and you get lost as to what to do, just rewatch the part where I showed you the repeat row. Don't forget to skip this one and skip this one. That's where our decrease is going to come in. That's what's going to create the peak. Chain 6. Skipping that post. And then I'm going to show you how to finish this off. I will see you in about 10 rows for me. Well, I've already done 1, 2, 3, so I only need like 7 more rows to go. And however many rows for you could be 50 rows. And how big your tree is. And I will show you what to do next. Okay, so I came to a part in the tutorial that is tripping me up a little bit, and it's going to trip you guys up too. So, in the previous tree skirt, I did not add a Jacob's ladder on the opening part. And what's happening is it's decreasing too much. So at the beginning and end of every row, just make sure you have 2 double crochets at the end here. So what I did is this previous row, if I skipped the post of the Jacob's ladder, I would only have 1 double crochet. So I stuck 2 double crochet in that last stitch, and then I chained 1 and I put 2 double crochet in the next row going up. So just make sure that you have 2 stitches here. This part of the tree skirt is going to be the part that either ties together or that you put buttons on. So this part is not really going to matter it's not going to matter. So just make sure you have 2 double crochets here at the beginning and the end of every row before you do the Jacob's ladder part. And it should be just fine. Because like I said, we're going to either put buttons there or we are going to put ties, most likely ties. But I will give you the option of putting buttons as well. I think the ties will just look nicer. So yeah, that's my little fix. I'm coming on because I want to make sure that I say that in case you guys get too far in the pattern and you start having the same problem where you're like running out of stitches. Just make sure every row begins and ends the Jacob's ladder side of the thing. Make sure it has two double crochet, even if you got to put them in the same stitch, and then do the chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Skip that first post, double crochet, and it'll be fine. And then when you come back around this way, just put 2 double crochet in that first stitch, and then put 2 double crochet in the next row, and it will work out. And yeah, I'm making progress. I'm watching my friend Debbie the Canadian Crocheter's new video as I'm crocheting this. If you don't know who Debbie is, check out the Canadian Crocheter. Big shout out to her. I absolutely adore her. And then like I said, when I get to the end of 10 rows of the Jacob's ladder, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, oh, we're almost halfway there. I will show you guys how to finish off this tree skirt when you get to the point where it's big enough for you. I just wanted to make sure, because when I design something, I design it as I go, and you can't really do a tutorial that way. So I have to try to reconfigure the way I designed it the first time. And the first time with my tree skirt, I didn't have a Jacob's ladder in this point at all. So the bottom of the star, the back of the tree, was really just flat across. So I added a Jacob's ladder here so that when I attach it, it will still have the peak there, but the seaming will be off to the side slightly. And because I haven't worked this all the way through yet, I'm working it along as I go, and the math is not perfect. I wanted to make sure you guys had a solution for that. Just make sure you have 2 double crochet in the beginning and end of this Jacob's ladder end of the row. And I will be back in, I'm going to say probably an hour in my time. Alright, so now here is going to be the final row of this. Obviously yours is going to be bigger than this unless you have a little tiny tabletop tree, Christmas tree. I think I'm actually going to make this for little man's Christmas tree. He has a very small desktop Christmas tree, and I think this is going to be his. I think he will really like it, even if it's not his favorite color, red. So I ended the row on the Jacob's ladder section, which is fine. So like I said, I was just making sure that I had 2 stitches on the end of every row. So I'm going to do that again. I'm going to chain, I'm going to turn, get everything in the correct fashion so that I can show you guys. All right, and once again, I'm going to put 2 double crochets in that very first stitch just to make sure that we have enough stitches to work off of, and I'm going to pull up a loop because I need my hook for a minute. Now when you get to the Jacob's ladder part, I'm going to move my notepad over so I have more room to work with without hitting stuff. Now when you get to the Jacob's ladder part and you need to create the ladder, the very first one towards the center of your tree skirt, you're going to grab and twist it, okay? And actually I probably need this rotated this way. Let's try that again. The first Jacob's ladder, grab it and twist it like that. Just flip it over, stick your crochet hook in, grab this next Jacob's ladder chain, pull it through. Go up to the next chain, pull it through. So we only twist the first one. The reason we twist the first one is to make it pinch in so you don't have a big gap down there. But the rest of these you just pull through like you're chaining. So you just chain up. Just chain up. All the way till you get to that last chain. Okay. Now you can give it a little tug, little pull. That's what the chain looks like. They're really hard to see. Now, make sure you have this last ladder up. And then we're going to go back into the working yarn where we made the 2 double crochets. Okay. Now the skip, the post that we usually skip, we are going to put a half of a double crochet there. Not a half double. A half of a double crochet. Because we're going to double crochet this post and this post that we usually skip together while working through this. So, I'm going to show you guys. You're going to yarn over like we're going to do a double crochet and go into the post we usually skip. Pull up a loop and pull off 2 loops. And go through that top ladder section. Okay. We're going to ignore that it's on there for right now. Yarn over and go into that very first post on the other side that we normally skip. Pull up, go through 2. Now, we have this half of a double crochet on the loop. we have the ladder on the loop. We have the other half of a double crochet, and then the very first chain stitch. We're going to pull through all those. So you should have one, two, three loops plus that ladder. Pull through all of them, because that's like we are double crocheting two together while working through the chain. That is going to keep the chain from unraveling. It is going to make this peak valley down. Now we're going to double crochet up the peak towards the top. Now if your row does not end on the part where the Jacob's ladder is, you can just chain up to the peak and then work on the other ladder. See, because this side doesn't have the Jacob's ladder on the side, so you would just double crochet up here, because this side we're not increasing. There's not 2 double crochets in this first post. Just double crochet up, do your peak increase, go down here, and we're going to double crochet this post and this post through this once we do the Jacob's ladder. If you're working from that way over, depending on which side you worked on. So I'm just double crocheting up. Till I get to the peak. And in the peak, we're still going to put a peak increase. 2 double crochet. See, chain 2, 2 double crochet. As I'm splitting the yarn. There we go. And then just double crochet down here till you get to the post we usually skip. Don't crochet into that one until we Jacob's ladder those chains. Okay. And if you guys make this tree skirt, I would love for you to share the picture with me. You can email it to me. You can post it on my Instagram. And to tag me on Instagram, you just put the @ and Cinnamon Stitches. Or you can hashtag, which is the pound sign for us older people, Cinnamon Stitches. And then you can post it in the Facebook group. If you're a podcaster and you make this, you can put it in your podcast. Alright, so we got right before the Jacob's ladder, the post we normally skip. So I'm going to pull that up so I don't lose my loops. And we're going to Jacob's ladder this side too. You take the first one, remember you got to twist it. And we turn it this way because I'm right-handed. Well, I'm not right-handed, I'm ambidextrous, but when I crochet I'm right-handed. So you take the first one, you just flip it over, twist it to pull these pieces together. Stick your hook in and chain up. Just like that. Grab the chain, pull it through, grab the chain of the row above it, pull it through, grab the chain of the row above it, pull it through. And if you need a bigger hook to do this, because your hook ain't working real well, you can use a bigger hook if it's easier for you to do that. Okay, grab that. And what I like to do is just give it a little tug to make sure everything is nice and all the loops are nice and even. So we got that pulled up. We're going to go back to the working yarn. We're going to yarn over and do half of the double crochet. Okay. You're going to put that hook, or the ladder chain, this thingy. Put that on your hook and ignore it. And then yarn over and go into the next post that we usually skip. And do half of the double crochet. And then pull all the loops off. And then proceed to double crochet the next stitches. That's what that looks like. Now, if once you get past this point, you want to add another row, maybe like a border row, a contrasting color row, you can do that. Just act like you're doing this. All this should be normal, but when you get to this section here, just double crochet those 2 stitches together. Or actually these 3 stitches. So the stitch before the double crochet together, the stitch of the double crochet together, and then the one after it, you just 3 double crochet those together. And then you could put an extra border row on it if you want. And it will still give you the peak that's right there. My favorite part of this whole pattern, like the whole idea of the Jacob's ladder, because I just recently learned how to do Jacob's ladder because it looked scary to me. It looked new. It looked like, oh, I don't know how to do that. Until I realized how easy it was. I think my favorite part is when you get to the part where you're Jacob's laddering the Jacob's ladder. When you're turning this into this. I think it's just like the coolest effect ever. It gives you this beautiful chain up effect. It's an extra detail. I just think it's beautiful. I just love working it. I think it's fun to do. I got to the peak, so I'm going to put a peak increase. Then we're going to work down the hill. Juju is in the kitchen. You may hear kitchen noises. Or you're hearing my stomach make weird noises, because I've totally heard that too. Kid you not, I was sitting with Mr. Cinnamon the other day and my stomach made a mooing sound. I'm like, oh, I swallowed a cow. Oh, Mr. Cinnamon was like, that was your stomach? I was like, yeah. He's like, I thought it was one of the dogs. Nope, that was my stomach. Don't know why it's mooing. It's kind of entertaining though. Alright, now we got to the next set of Jacob's ladder. Remember, we're going to skip that last post for right now. I'm going to turn this so we can work the posts. Twist the first post, stick our hook in. And then grab the next chain, pull it through, next chain, pull it through. Oops, I missed part of the chain. And once you get this all chained up, don't be afraid to tug at it and pull at it to get those little ladders to lay even. Not gonna hurt it, because sometimes it'll look wonky. Just give it a little pull. Give it a little tug and it evens all those out. Turn it back the right way, grab the working yarn. Do half of a double crochet in the post we normally skip. I'm losing my ladder. I'm losing my ladder! Put the ladder on there. And then do the half of the double crochet. Sorry about that, my battery died. Alright, so we did the half of a double crochet. We pulled the ladder through the second half of a double crochet. We're going to close them all off and then proceed to double crochet up the hill. We're just going to do this around till we get to the end. I really enjoyed making this tree skirt with you guys. It's been a lot of fun. Got a little bit of quiet time. Had to keep the puppy in his kennel most of the day because I didn't realize yesterday. Fun stories of adventures with Bentley. In case you're new here, you don't know, Bentley is my now 12-week-old puppy. He has joined the family with my 2 older dogs who are 4, almost 5, and 8. Yeah, I think Oreo's 8. She's 8, almost 9 now that I think about it. Anyway, it's been nothing but fun and adventure and like ruckus since Bentley moved in. And last night I went to go take him to bed and I realized his stomach was really bloated. Like, his stomach was bloated. And I was like, oh, what did this puppy get into? Because he's already brought in kennel cough. He's already had an eye issue to where he got sand in his eye, I believe. And it's been a whole ordeal. And then he is the reason that I had the outbreak that is currently on my hands, because I took him to the vet and I got the alcohol that they put on puppies when they get vaccines all over his back, and it got on my hands and I had a bad reaction. So there's been a lot going on in the 2 weeks that he's been here. We're back to the ladder part. So I'm going to take a break from the Bentley story. We're going to work on the ladder and remind me to tell you about his belly. To twist the first one. Just ladder this up. Ladder. Ladder. All the way up. Give it a tug to even out our stitches. Grab the working yarn. And you can put a stitch marker in there if you find that it's trying to go back into itself. Start a double crochet, but only do half of it. Latch that yarn on. Do second half of that double crochet there. Pull through all of them. And then keep on double crocheting. Okay, so last night it was time for bed, and his stomach was like severely, he looked really just pregnant. And I was like, oh, what now? And he's whimpering and whining and whimpering and whining, and his stomach hurts. So I assumed it was gas. So I'm patting him, and it was gas. What I didn't realize is that he got into the dog food container, which is a plastic bin, and he was eating it. And I didn't realize until this morning, because he tried to do it again, so I had to put him in his crate. He's been in his crate almost all day, just for his own safety. Because if dogs eat too much like that, they can actually twist their stomach. It could cause all kinds of danger stuff. So, he was up every 2 hours. He needed to go outside every 2 hours. So I didn't sleep real well last night. I was up all night with the puppy. Taking him downstairs, taking him outside, standing in the cold with him, because he doesn't like being out there by himself. And yeah, it was a long night. However, I am very grateful in the fact that he woke me up so often to go outside, because he's a puppy and he could have just went in the house or on my bed or in his crate, and he wanted to actually go outside to go. So, small miracles, I'll take it. But now today, we're both really tired. And he has been asleep in his crate almost all day. He's out now, but Juju's out there taking care of him. But yeah, it's been a day. Caught him this morning, back in that cabinet. Face very quietly eating out of the bucket. I was like, oh, no, we're not going to do this. So I called Mr. Cinnamon at work. I was like, tonight we have to go buy a bucket that locks. So I'm going to do this last row of Jacob's ladder. Remember, don't forget to twist that one. Otherwise, if you don't twist it and you just go in and you ladder it, you're going to have like a hole here. And when you twist it, it pulls that together a little bit more. So I'm just going to... Jacob's ladder is now a... action. We're going to Jacob's ladder this. This is my favorite part of the whole project, is doing the Jacob's ladder part. I just think it is so much fun. Alright. Grab the working yarn. Do the partial double crochet there, go through the loop, partial double crochet the next post on the other side of the chain, or the chain space thingy, double crochet up. We're almost done with this. I had a lot of fun making this one, probably because it was small, but I think little man will like this. Then you can do buttons on this to fasten it closed. I'm not going to. I'm going to put ties. And actually, there's lots of different ways you can make ties for this. My tree skirt that is on my big tree, my main tree now, I braided some different, I used some of the yarn, I cut equal pieces, and I braided it and I attached it to the tree skirt that way. It was much easier than attaching and chaining and doing all the things. And I wanted like a thicker braid. So you could braid yarn on here. You can attach and do chains for ties, or you can attach buttons. And depending on how big your tree skirt is, depends on how many buttons or how many ties that you want to put on there. Just try to distance them equal from each other so that, you know, it looks symmetrical. It looks equal and even. I'm working up the last side now on my tree skirt. My forearms are killing me, but I'm almost done. I really have enjoyed this time with you, and I thank you for watching my tutorials because I work really hard at them. Alright, and I'm going to show you how to do a tie. I'm going to teach you just to do the chain tie. Like I said, you can do braids, you can do, there's a lot, and you can look up other ways to attach fasteners to tree skirts, or even look up sweater fasteners. You could use that method too. So, I got the tree skirt. Now this part crinkles up a little bit, but I like the way that it crinkles up a little bit because I find that it hugs the base a little more. You can always do a couple extra rows in here to decrease it, or you can start with a bigger chain so you have a bigger hole, but I like the way that that looks. And I'm probably going to put the Jacob's ladder on the top part here so that you can see that one, and then put some ties. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to chain one and turn, and I'm going to start working up towards the inside. And I'm just going to put a single crochet, one more single crochet because that's where I want my tie, and then you chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I'm not going to make my tie real long because this is a miniature tree skirt. So a chain of 20 for me with a 5.5 millimeter hook is about 6 inches. That works just fine. You can cut and tie here and have a thin string, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn and single crochet up so that the strand is a little bit thicker, because like I said, this is probably going on little man's tree and he's rough on everything. I'm just single crocheting up the chain. So because that was a chain of 20, it's going to be about 19 single crochets. Back up the side. Oops. And I think this is only going to have 2 ties. Same reason, it's a miniature tree skirt. The tree skirt that's under my full-size 8-foot Christmas tree in the living room has 4 ties. So I spaced it out to have 4 equal ties. But I think I'm just going to put a tie at the top and a tie at the bottom. Loud TV. Now, that's my strand, my tie, and then I'm just going to work up this side until I get about right there, because, you know, a tie here and a tie here. Keep it about equal. Does not have to be perfect. I don't like having to count extra things that I don't need to count. In each double crochet, I just try to put about 2 single crochets for this, because that's just what works for me. we're about there. Chain 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, single crochet back up. And I think once I get up to the top of this, you can get to the top right here and cut your work, tie it off, weave in your ends, and then come over here and do the same thing on this side. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to work a row of single crochets around the inside, just so that I don't have as many ends to weave in, because I hate weaving in ends. And I think I'm going to do that. It will also give this a more of a finished look on the center part, but totally up to you guys. And you could do the ties and all of this in a contrasting color, and then when you get done to this part, just do a border on the outside. You could absolutely do that. Play with it, make it yours. You can use this beautiful, the reason I picked the anti-pilling everyday medley yarn is because it is an anti-pilling acrylic. This is going to last you, and with having Bentley, I now realize that maybe I need to have a tree skirt that is machine washable and dryable under the Christmas tree in case he gets under there and decides to do anything. You know, just trying to be a little smarter. Alright, so I got my 2 ties there. To the center part, I'm going to chain 1 and go up onto the top section, the starting chains that we did, and I'm just going to put single crochets. You can put whatever stitch you want around there. See how it just gives it a little more finished, refined edge. And then I'm skipping the stitch where I did the increase up, and I'm going to go to the next one just so that it smooths it out a little bit. But play with this. Do whatever is easiest to you. Whatever looks good to you. Because I didn't plan on doing this part at all. I'm just kind of winging this part. And as soon as we get done with this, I'm going to edit it and start the upload process and go make some dinner for my family. I think for dinner tonight we're going to have lemon pepper chicken, and I'm going to make a recipe I saw on Glenn and Friends, which is a YouTube channel, for, I think he called them Greek potatoes, but it was just lemon flavored potatoes. It was like lemon and herbs. But I have an herb blend in the kitchen that is meant for seafood. It's got cilantro and like some other seafood based flavors, and it tastes so good on everything. If you don't like cilantro, you're probably not going to like it, but we love cilantro. I'm going to test that out and see if I can get little man to eat that, because he hates citrus. He don't like anything sour. So I think that's what we're going to have for dinner. And then I have some zucchini in there. I think zucchini sounds good. Do some oven roasted zucchini with the potatoes, maybe. I'm almost around. I am to that funky stitch where I skipped a stitch. We're gonna crochet. I'm gonna crochet right over the top of my tail. So yeah, look at that, smoothed that out a lot. That looks very pretty. Now, this part looks a little wonky, but it's not gonna matter because we're just gonna tie those pieces together. You're not even gonna notice. So I'm going to chain one, and now I'm going to work up this side and put a couple of single crochets. Chain 20. Make sure that lines up. It don't line up. It don't line up. I gotta put a couple more. Because I forgot I wasn't working from the top down, I was working from the bottom up. So I gotta make sure I put enough single crochets that it lines up with this. Let's try that again. Maybe one more. There we go. Now we'll chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Single crochet back up the side of that. You just want to make sure that your strings that you're going to tie line up. Otherwise it's not going to lay right on your tree. But also, like, the strings can be at the back of the tree so that you don't have to, like, even if it's slightly off, you're not going to notice it because it's at the back of the tree. Or you can make fancy strings and put them towards the front. I mean, that's entirely up to you. I just like having a homemade Christmas skirt or tree skirt under my tree. It just feels, I don't know, it just feels a little more homey, a little more, you know, homemade. My childhood, like, I don't even really remember what my tree skirt looked like. I know that my mom always had a store-bought one. And when I became an adult and I had to purchase my own, I realized how expensive those store-bought ones are. And so when I learned how to crochet, the first thing I did is I started making tree skirts. Alright, now let's see if we can line this up. And tie this. Now we gotta hold it in place. You can make a bow or not, it don't matter. Tie that. Where's that? There. Now. Yeah, one more stitch and that should be lined up. We chain 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, oops, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Single crochet up the side. Bentley's trying to get in. What you doing, bud? Bentley! Leave it. His training is going really good. He's a smart dog. For being only 12 weeks old and me snapping at him, telling him to leave it and he walks away. Yeah, that's a pretty smart dog. Pretty smart. We are almost done with this tree skirt. It only took us a couple hours to make a small one. Wasn't too bad at all. And 4. And I don't think that I have the scissors in here still. So I'm just gonna pretend. Tie it up. Put a little bow. And there we have. Let me slide you guys up. You can see better. Whoop. Just putting the camera up a lot higher. I'm screwing you on in case you hear the noise. I'm not going to edit that out. That is our 5-point. This will be the back of the tree skirt. So it will go, this goes to the front. Isn't that pretty? And then we have where it curls up just a little bit, so it goes around the base. Really nice. Got the beautiful Jacob's ladder detail going on everywhere. And there you have it. What do you guys think? I think it's pretty. I really like this one. It's kind of like it feels like a denim, like a tealy denim color. But I also feel like if I had done it in the green, it would have been beautiful, or the red, or any of the other colors, or striped it in, because you guys know I'm not a solid kind of girl. I like the multicolored. Very, very happy. So thank you so much for tuning in. Tag me, show me. I want to see if you make this tree skirt. You can make it as big as you want, as small as you want. I gave you guys lots of options to alter this to your specifications. I hope you enjoy it, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.